Hello, folks. Welcome back to another edition of SHU Outdoors. I'm your host, Mick, and today we're going to do story time. How Rikers Island beef ended up hitting streets in the lower deck, what happened, and how it all played out. But before we get into that, I want to issue a formal apology. My last episode, I did it on the Warriors of Aryan Culture, and it's late. And sometimes I have a brain fog. But I did it on the Soldiers of Aryan Culture. And I'm a perfectionist, and I was doing everything exactly right. And when I got to the culture, I allowed my laptop to autofill it instead of double checking it and make sure it was absolutely right. And as a result, it came out slightly misspelled. Obviously still legible. I mean, you know what it means, but I acknowledge that it was misspelled. And by the time I became aware of it, what had happened, I had about 25 or 30 views. So my wife was like, yo, don't take it down. I mean, it's not that horribly misspelled, and there was no harm intended. Leave it up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it up, and I just want to issue a formal apology. I will be more careful from now on and be more mindful, and no disrespect was intended to the Soldiers of Aryan Culture. It was an honest mistake, and I definitely will be more careful in the future. So today's story is how a Rikers Island beef ended up hitting streets. This story I'm going to save is from about 1999, 2000, maybe 2001. You know, when you got a long, crazy history, you know, sometimes the days and the months and the years kind of blend together. But it was around that time frame. And what had happened was me and a guy named Evil Eric. Evil Eric was a skinhead. I think he was originally out of Chicago, but he had been in New York for a long time. I mean, a long time. And he was well known in that scene. And him and I knew each other from the streets, and we had a couple of fights, and then we, you know, would become friends again. This is like 25 years ago. It was a wild time. And, but we were all right, you know what I mean? We both ended up on Rikers Island, and we were in C95 together. And something about Rikers Island, I spoke on it in a prior video where I did a little rundown of Rikers Island and what the dealo is there. Rikers Island is not the type of facility where you're going to just be singled out and targeted because you're white, even though there's not a huge amount of white people on Rikers Island. It's just really not that type of vibe. Not saying things don't happen there, but it's just really not the type of vibe that you're going to be singled out and targeted because you're white. In fact, we were in a C95, and we were something in an area that's referred to as the light side. So a C95 up front by the receiving room and all that, you got something called the project, that's dorms. And then you walk down a long hall, and when you get to the end of that hall, you can walk straight, and you go into something called the Sprungs back there. That's the way it used to be. And if you was to turn right, you would go into something called the dark side. Dark side is referred to for that reason, because it's more locked down. There's not as much movement. And if you would turn left, you would go down a hallway, and that's referred to as the light side, because all the workhouses and all the workers lived over there, so it was a lot more movement. And Eric and I was in the same unit, right? And back in them days, I was like a punk rocker and a skinhead and hate edge, and yeah. So, but me and him was, like I said, we had a sordid history, but we weren't necessarily beefing. So we ended up in the same house unit together, and what happened was, he was the type of dude that it was me and him. He, you know, we'd be in the day room and we'd be reminiscing, but he would always get on the topic of like some quasi-racial topic. You know what I mean? Like, and the way he would speak on it, it would be like, almost boisterous and like attracting the attention of the Latino and the black dudes in the unit. Now, a caveat, we were both cool in that unit. Nobody was messing with us. And like I said, man, I had a job where I was cleaning the CO's office and emptying trash and helping with sanitation and all that. So, man, I would literally come back to the housing unit every day with a handful of cigarette butts, big ones, you know, COs flipped and stuff. They had to go in and sweep their offices, empty their trash cans and stuff. So, man, I was hitting a mother load every day, man, and I was smoking good, eating good. It was all good, you know what I mean? And he had a job in the laundry. His hustle wasn't as lucrative, but he still did have a hustle, you know? And so there was really no beef there or anything like that. But what happened was we would have these conversations occasionally, and you know he would, I wouldn't say go off a topic, but like start talking in a loud, like almost obnoxious way. And one day, and I saw this coming like weeks before it actually happened. I was like, "Yo, dog, why you always, you know, being so like." You know, rambunctious about these certain topics, man. Like, we're out there in the day room. Let's talk about something else. Let's don't bring attention to the fact that we're both skinheads and punk rockers and hate edge, you know, around all these black and brown people that ain't fucking with us and we're living good. You know what I mean? Like, why create a situation where a situation doesn't exist? So one day, man, we got to talking again. We're out there drinking coffee and whatnot. And, you know, at that time, Rikers Island had banned smoking. This is, I don't know when it was, maybe 2000, 2001. So it sounds about right, you know. But COs would still smoke. So, I mean, literally, I was living good, man. Buckets full of honey buns and soups and all kind of shit. Coffee and smoking good. And, so, you know, I had no complaints being in that unit, right? And one day we're in the day room, right? We were talking, man, and this dude, right? I'll never forget him, like this Puerto Rican black dude. He was actually a pretty cool dude, but I don't think he ever liked Eric because he had that, like, vibe about him, like, you know, like just instead of being mellow and understanding the situation for what it was, that's not kind of the part he would play sometimes. And I don't think this black dude liked him that this dude liked him that much anyway. One day we're in the day room, right? Now I'm the type of dude that if I fuck with you and I roll with you and somebody messes with you or they punch you or whatever, I'm gonna back your play, but I'm not gonna fight your fight for you, man. You got to get up and you got to swing. And if they jump you, then I'm in it. You know what I mean? That's just the way I roll. You know, I don't fight another man's fights for him, you know, but if you're my dude, I'm going to roll with you, but you got to take the initiative. And that's just the way I do shit, you know what I mean? And, black dude, the dude comes over and says, you know what, man, I'm tired of hearing your fucking mouth. And he slaps the shit out of Eric, right? And Eric don't do shit, you know, and I'm just sitting there, right? Dude, he don't say shit to me. None of them jump Eric. It was just him and the dude, all right? So I'm looking at Eric, right? And I'm waiting to see what he's going to do. Now, if he gets up and he swings and he defends himself and anybody else jumps in it, I'm going to jump in on Eric's side. No question. Even though he's not my favorite dude in the world, I still know him from the street, and he's still a white dude, and I'm still going to jump in on his side. Bottom line, right? If they try to jump him. And I don't even think they would because they didn't necessarily really like this black dude that much neither. The other black and brown people in the unit, they didn't really like this dude that much neither. I don't even think they would have jumped him if he would have stood up and defended himself, but he didn't. And then, like, later on when the incident was over, he was like, yo, Mick, why didn't you jump up and do something to that dude? I was like, yo, dog, he didn't say shit to me. He came up to you and slapped the shit out of you, man. If he would have did that to me, I wouldn't even be in this unit right now. I mean, I would have fucking stood up and we'd have been fucking rocking and rolling. But I'm not going to fight your fight for you, bro. You got to, if you would have stood up and handled your business and they would have jumped you or whatever, man, I would have got in it, man. But I'm not going to fight your fight for you, bro. And he was mad at me. I mean, hostility lingered, right? But I wasn't sweating it, right? Whatever's whatever. I just seen somebody slap the shit out of you and you didn't do nothing about it. So I'm not particularly worried about you, right? Now, this dude had a reputation on the street of being a really good fighter and he had beat several people up. And me and him had a few fights prior. And it was like a win, lose, draw type of thing, you know. But he didn't do shit. So I stay in that unit probably about another month and a half or so, and I ended up getting out. I get released, right? So he's still in there fighting a case. So I end up getting a spot way out in oh man, what's Bushwick, way the hell out in Brooklyn, right? And me and him knew several mutual people, right? So one day I'm walking to the Lower East Side and I see this dude, right? And me and him's cool, you know what I mean? And anyway, man, I was like, it was like winter, like fall time, getting kind of cold in the evening time. I was like, yo, man, I'm heading over to Brooklyn, man. You can come over there and hang out with me and crash with me for the night if you want to. So he's like, hell yeah, man, let's go. So we get on the train, we go over there and shit, and it's about a 45-minute ride from Manhattan. It's just way out there, right? In the hood, right? And that's another thing about New York. I mean, you got certain neighborhoods that are predominantly black, predominantly Hispanic, or predominantly white. But there's really no neighborhood that's just all black, white, or Hispanic. And there's really no neighborhood that you can't walk through any given time of the day or the night and feel relatively comfortable. I would say, you know, the city is a little bit more sophisticated than I've heard of like other cities around the country being in regards to how Rikers Island kind of operated and how the streets of New York operates. I mean, you're really going to have no problems just because you're white. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't have problems and be white, but it probably wouldn't just be because you were white. You know what I mean? So me and the dude hang out, right? And then we go our separate ways. A couple of months pass, right? One day, dude calls me up because he's got my number. And it's like we have cell phones in, but it was an old school cell phones with the flip and the antenna. So he calls me up and he's like, hey, Mick, Eric's down here with me, right? So I'm not really tripping. I'm like, yeah, okay, what's up, man? What's up, man? How y'all doing? So he's like, hey, man, we're cool and shit. Eric got out, man, and he's got some food stamps. He's got a card, and he wants to try to change it in for some cash, but we don't know the spot. But we know you could probably know the spot. Can you come down here? So I'm uptown in Harlem at the time because I'm all over the city, right? So I'm uptown at Harlem at the time. I'm like, yo, man, I'll be downtown in about an hour and a half. I got some things finished doing up here. And they used to have a really, really good weed spot up there, right? So I was up there doing that and a couple other things. And so I ended up getting on the train at 125th Street. I come down. I get off at like 14th Street, Union Square. And I walk down. And I meet them at 7th Street between A and First Avenue, A and First Avenue on 7th Street, closer to the corner of First Avenue and 7th Street. And so I get the card, I greet him and shit, and I get the card. Now, Eric's drunk, and his lame-ass sidekick, Crazy Eddie, he's half-ass drunk too, right? So I go in, and I do what they ask me to do. I don't even ask for no money for it, man. I mean, it's just like, you know, it ain't no big deal. I do it for them, right? I come out and I think they got like 80 or 90 bucks, right? And I know what they're going to do with that. And now we're going to go hang out. You know, this is my plan. I'm going to do this for you. And then we go hang out and do some other things, right? I give him the money, man. And Eddie starts talking to me, but I see this lame ass dude, Evil Eric, right? and I see him try to get on the side of me, right? And I never really trusted the dude that much anyway, right? So I see him telegraph a fucking punch, right? And I sidestep it, I weave it, and I got this big ass Hulk Bill knife on me that my good friend at the time, Danny, had gave me about a week or two before, right? And it's my Bronx homeboy. And so I got the knife on me, man, and I weave his punch, right? And I pull the knife out, and instead of me cutting him, what I did is I just shoved him against the wall and put the knife up under his chin, and I pushed it in probably about 1/4 of an inch. I didn't do him nearly as dirty as I could have did him, but, you know, I knew he was drunk and shit, so I was half-assed giving him a pass. Otherwise, I would have just blasted his ass and gave him $1.50. But I was firmly in control of the situation. I knew he was drunk. I knew him for back in the day and shit. So I gave him a quasi pass, right? He was bleeding like a stuck pig, but I know where I put the knife in and how far I put it in. I knew he wasn't really hurt that bad, you know? So when the situation was over, I was like, yo, you tripping, man? And I pushed him, and hard words was exchanged and shit. I'm like, yo, homeboy, you know who I am, and if we ever run across paths, you lucky you got off that lucky, man. Okay, and so on and so forth. But as I was leaving, him and Eddie said, yo, Mick, we're going to call the police on you, right? I was a wild motherfucker back in the day, man, right? I've ran all over New York City and did all kind of shit, right? So I'm like, yo, man, F you, man. I don't care what you do, punk. Because I know at that time, there might be cameras around there now, but at that time, there was really no cameras, and people had phones, but it wasn't like you could just pull your phone out and start filming now. You had to hit a whole bunch of buttons and wait for it to load up and shit. So I know there's no footage or nothing, and nobody can prove I did shit. It's just word of these two losers who's got just as bad a criminal histories as me. You know what I mean? So I already know that ain't going to stick, so I'm not even tripping. I'm like, yo, man, kiss my ass. I'll see you when I see you, man. And I get about, because the F train is down on Houston Street, and that takes you right into Brooklyn, right? So I leave, I get on First Avenue, right? And I'm walking, right? And my phone rings. And it's the detectives from the 9th Precinct. They're like, yo, we know you was involved in this incident, and we know this guy's side of the story, and we want to know your side of the story. I said, look, man, I don't want to press charges on anybody about anything. I'm not interested, right? And I hang the phone up, right? Keep fucking pushing, right? I need to get to the train so I can get back over to Brooklyn, because this lame Eddie knows where I live, all right? And he's got my phone number because I gave him my phone number, so he's got my phone number in his phone, and he knows where I live. So and I got blood on me, right? So that's like an assault in the first. Now, 20-something years done went by. Statute of limitations long since played on this shit, and I ended up pleading guilty, but I get to that later on. So I keep on pushing, man, and and the phone rings again. And so I look at it, it's the same number. I just popped the battery out, because back then you could still pop batteries and shit out of phones, right? So I popped the battery out of it so I don't have to fucking, you can't just, it just goes off in outer space now if you try to call me, right? So anyway, I get on the train, right? And I get back to Brooklyn, and I'm ditching clothes, like, because it's probably about 15 blocks from where I get off, maybe 12 blocks from where I get off the train until where I live, right? So I'm ditching clothes and all kind of shit, right, on the whole way there, right? It's wintertime, so I get home, I just got a t-shirt on. Had to get rid of all my good hoodies and everything, because he knows where I live, and they told me they were going to call the police, so it won't surprise me if the cops show up here and I can't have anything with blood on me, right? So I got all this wintertime, I'm geared down with good hoodies and shit, so I got to get rid of all this shit, right? So I get home, I was able to hit the shower real quick, get rid of all the clothes, put new gear on. I got shorts on, I got flip-flops on, because I'm not really sure if they're going to call the cops, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. But now I already know. You got no evidence over there, and you got no evidence over here, all right? So, Damn sure did, man. Popo, motherfucking Popo showed up, right? Like a whole squadron of detectives from the 9th Precinct came fuck over to Brooklyn, knocked on the door, and I lived with some roommates at the time, right? So it was an apartment, and I had a room, and somebody else had a room, and a couple of people were living in the living room. It was one of those kind of spots, right? I would have never have opened the door. I was like, yo, don't open the door, don't open the door. But it was a girl there, and like she was all scared and shit, and I can't start beating her up and shit because the cops are outside the door. So I was like, yo, man, well, whatever, fuck it, man. You know what I mean? Because I know they ain't really got nothing on me, right? Probably I'm just hoping they want to talk, right? Well, I'm going to deny everything. Anyway, man, they fucking locked me up, take me way back over to Manhattan, back into the 9th Precinct, right? So they booked me in. They charged me with assault in the first degree. That's like a serious crime, man. You know what I mean? Like, so, potentially like 8 to 25 years in prison, all right? But I already know it ain't even going to go nowhere near that. In fact, I'm going to beat this whole case because I know what they got. They ain't got shit but 2 lames making a complaint, all right? They ain't got no knife. They ain't got no blood. They ain't got no camera footage. They ain't got no witnesses because it's not like this is the heart of New York City. You got a lot of people on the streets, but they ain't getting involved in that. And they definitely ain't going to come to court and testify about nothing. It's just the thousands of people walking up and down the streets, you know what I mean? So I already know they ain't got nothing. Anyway, they locked me up, man. They put me all through central booking. So I'm in central booking, and I'm getting stuck in central booking, man. They're not processing me on through the system, right? So this goes on. So morning, because you usually, by the time you get arrested in New York City to when you see the judge, way back in the day, it was 72 hours. They had to get you in front of the judge within 72 hours. But by this point, I had gotten to 24 hours, and I've already been held in the bullpens 24 hours, right? So I already know right now something's up. They're trying to pull a fast one somehow because I should have been done seeing the judge. Worst case scenario, I fight the case from the island for a month or 3, and I beat the case. You know what I mean? Best case scenario is they ROR me when I see the judge. It could go either way. But anyway, man, detectives come and get me, right? And they take me over to the DA's office. So now I'm like, yeah, they're definitely trying to jam me up with this bullshit, right? So they put me in the DA's office. The DA reads me my rights and shit. I'm just listening to them because sometimes I'll just sit there and listen to you talk. That way I can know what you know. You ain't going to find out shit that I know. You know what I mean? Because I don't implicate myself in no crimes. I deny everything to the maximum amount, right? So they're like, yo, Eric so-and-so is saying you did so-and-so to him last night. And this guy, Eddie, he's whatever his last name was, he's agreeing with it, right? Well, do you know Eric? Well, of course they know I know Eric because we're from the same neighborhood. We're both punk rockers, and he's done told him the whole story that, yeah, I know this guy. He tried to jump me and he cut me and all kind of shit. And then Eddie's done co-signed it. So, of course, they know that I know this guy. And they already know the whole story. Well, they know the story that he told them. Really, I was just defending myself, but I did. Because, see, the law in New York is what I was supposed to do according to the law is run away, all right? Because you're not allowed to defend property in New York. And you're definitely not allowed to engage in a brawl on the streets. I mean, you have a duty to run away, but I was already a little legal beagle, so I knew that, right? So I was like, look, man, I was crossing the street. I did see this guy. He took a swing at me. I pushed him and I ran. All right, because they already know I know the dude. They got 2 people saying that I did this to the guy, and he then had to go paramedics and all kind of shit. I guess I put the knife in a little bit deeper than I meant to, but not deep enough to really hurt him. But deep enough to hurt him, but not cause a life-threatening injury. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you mean? I said, look, man, I was on Rikers with the guy because they can verify that too. I mean, he done told him the story. Yeah, I was on Rikers with the guy and shit. He ain't my favorite person in the world, but I'm not tripping on that dude. It so happens we live in the same neighborhood, and I saw the guy, and he was drunk and belligerent. He took a swing at me. I ducked the swing, I pushed him, and I ran. And I went to the train and went home, right? So I already know that's what the law says I'm supposed to do in that situation. That ain't no charge. You have a right to basically push somebody away and try to run, all right? So they didn't want to buy it because they wanted to put the case on me, right? But he done gave the lames a statement. They don't know where he's at, right? I already know that too. He's a homeless motherfucker out in the streets, wheeling and dealing and doing whatever he does. He don't have no fucking address, right? You got nothing on me, right? So they put me back over in the bullpens, and now I start going. They put me in the next one, and the next one, wait and go see the judge, right? They trying to get me over there and make a statement, but the statement I made, again, yeah, I know the guy. We was on Rikers together. I see him coming towards me yelling insults. I can see he's drunk. He took a swing at me. I bobbed it, pushed him, and ran, okay? They already know that much. I mean, that's a fact. You know what I'm saying? So they don't know what really happened, but they know we're from the same neighborhood. They know that we were on Rikers Island together, and they know that we're both white dudes and we're into punk rock and skinheads and whatnot, right? So they already know the basics. I can't deny any of that shit. I could play tough guy role like I'm not making no statement out of attorney, but I knew the best thing to do was kind of confirm certain things they knew, but, you know, other than that, kiss my ass, right? And I knew they couldn't put no charge on me about that, right? You know, pushing somebody and running, right? So once they got to digging, I guess they realized that this lame had a worse criminal history than me. He's not a credible witness, and all you got is his testimony and this other lame he's with, all right? And he's got a horrible criminal history too. So they're not reliable witnesses if you get them on the stand, right? But they damn sure called the cops on me, right? So I go and see the judge, right? I mean, I go, and right before you get on, like in New York City, like when you get arrested, you go through the system, and right before you get ready to go to the courtroom to see the judge, they put you in this last bullpen that's got little lawyer booths in it, and a public defender will come and holler at you and tell you what your situation is, right? If you're likely to get RWAR, if the judge might set bail, or have they reduced the charges or whatever, right? So this old ass lawyer comes in. He's like, man, you're looking at 8 1/3, 25, man. Is there anything you want to tell me about this case so I can go talk to the district attorney and try to make some kind of deal, 2 to 4, 3 to 6? I said, look, man, I don't know what you got there in that file, man. The DA and them's already tried to pull me over there and fabricate something on me. And I'm going to tell you the same thing I told her, all right? I was crossing the street. This guy took a swing at me. I pushed him and ran. Whatever happened to this guy after I left and they're trying to put it on me, I don't know nothing about it, okay? This guy's in the streets. Anybody could have cut him or whatever he's alleging happened. Yeah, because they done told me the dude got stabbed, right? The DA told me that, trying to get me to confess to something, which ain't going to happen, right? And I said, man, I done told you, man, what happened, man. I pushed the guy and ran and got on the train and went home, man. He said, okay, well, we'll see how it plays out there in the courtroom. I get out of the courtroom, it's a completely different attorney, okay? That dude wasn't even no attorney. He was a DA trying to get me to confess something to him. So then because they had nothing on me. All right. I get out to the courtroom, and then it dawns on me because I got a completely different attorney, and I'm like, yo, you got a partner, man? Somebody just came back there and talked to me and said, no, I don't have a partner. No, this is the first time I'm representing you. He said, but don't worry, I'm fixing to get you released from prison jail right now, or if I don't get you released, 15 or 20 days on the island for like a simple assault type of thing, right? He said, you're willing to take that? I said, yeah, man, I'm willing to take it. This dude got up, man. He was a hell of an attorney, man. He gave a hell of a little speech. This guy's a horrible person. He's got a worse criminal history than my client. There's no evidence where my client did anything. Blah, 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 blah. And then the DA spoke up and said, look, we've reduced the charges from assault in the first to, what's that, creating a disturbance or something, right? Now, this was back when Giuliani was on, and so the cops and DAs, they were trying to lock everybody up. It ain't like it is now where they got a much softer approach to quality of life. They were trying to lock everybody up for any little thing they could lock you up for back then, right? Which ended up breaking the New York State prison system. And that's the reason why the situation it's in now. But the prosecutor said, look, we're willing to offer 30 days, right? I took my hand, right? I'll take it right now, Your Honor. All right? Because I already know you ain't got to do 20 days on 30, and I already got a day in. You get credit for that day, that time waiting to see the judge, right? So I already know I ain't got to do but 19 more days, and I'll be out. You know what I'm saying? They ended up going to Rikers Island. That whole process. Went back into C95. Not the same unit because I didn't have time to talk to the right CO and shit to get me pulled over there, right? But I go back to this C95. They let me out, man, right? Okay, so at that time they were starting to take clothes. Like this building will let you have that building will let you have this. So they put me in C95. They take my hoodie, all right? They cut your hoodie off if you got one. You can have the t-shirt. That time, I think they make everybody wear a jumpsuit now. But back then, you only had to wear greens if you went to C76, like you were doing county time, right? I was still fighting my... How did that happen, man? Yeah, I took the 30 days. I went to C76 because I had the 30 days I was doing county time. But when they arrested me, man, I had flip-flops on, a shirt, and a wife beater. I shit you not, man. So it was cold, but it wasn't super brick cold. But it was cold enough. I wouldn't have went outside like that even when they arrested me. But by the 20 days or something passed, they let me out, man. And at that time, they was taking me to Queens Plaza. I had to get on a train and my flip-flops, go to my, and that's way over in Queens. That's East Elmhurst, Queens. Well, it's close. Queens Plaza ain't East Elmhurst, Queens. That's where Rikers Island bus comes out, and they take you to Queens Plaza. The good thing is all the trains kind of meet there, so I was able to get a train over to my homeboy Danny's house, knock on his door early in the morning, right? Because, you know, in New York, everybody's got gates and all kind of shit up, so I got to get some, I'm like a madman. It's the middle of winter. I got flip-flops and shorts and shit on, right? In the streets of New York, right? So I weasel through the gate, right? And I get up there and I knock on his door, right? Because I ain't got no phone or nothing. He's like, who the hell's out there? I'm like, yo, dog, it's me, Meg, man. Let me in, man. So he opens the door, he lets me in because it's like my good homie, right? He opens the door, he lets me in and shit. He's about the same size as me, so I hang out there for a day or two and get enough gear to get home with because I got gear back over in Brooklyn, right? But that's another part of Brooklyn. I got to get on a train and go here and go there. And plus, I just got out of the island, so I just want to chill for a minute with my homie and shit. I get out, get back to the other part of Brooklyn over in Bed-Stuy. That was a wild ride, man. I've been one time they let me out of fucking Rikers with some chicky chains. It's the middle of winter. I got to go right to a shoe store and do a 5-finger discount on a pair of little cheap ass Chucks, right? Just something to wear. You know, I've been through so much shit in the city, man. And I just wanted to bring this video to you today to let you know, you guys, I didn't forget about you. And I got so many punk rock hated stories, yeah, because I was one of those punk rockers that used to rock the SWAT sticker just to be offensive, not because I really hated anybody. I was just being offensive little punk, you know what I mean? Sometimes I was a punk rocker, sometimes I was a skinhead, always borderline crusty, squatting in abandoned buildings and doing all that type of shit. So if you guys would be interested in hearing those type of stories, hit me up in the comments and let me know. I will be much more mindful about making correct, the spelling is correct in all my thumbnails and descriptions from now on. And hey man, you guys mean the world to me, man. So, you know, we're getting close to 150 subscribers. And I know for a fact, man, this channel is just going to keep growing and growing and growing because, yeah, generally speaking, I talk about the prison genre, but I have like 1,000 punk rock and roll stories. And I spent a whole lifetime in New York City, so I know that scene very well. And if you'd like for me to tell some of those stories and mix this channel up a little bit, just hit me up in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to do it. Yeah, man, hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get this channel up and kind of like it. Peace.